Far too many couples struggle to understand each other because the differences feel impossible to bridge. So let's just look at some differences. And as we're describing these differences, what I want you to think about is not, well, I don't fit in that category. What I really want you to get is that men are different than women.
Yes, and
God
we're going to
designed it that way.
Amen. And we're going to give generalized differences between men and women.
Yes. And so you may see that you fall into the opposite category, and that's okay. But we just want to give you a picture of just how different men and women are in a lot of areas.
And we can look at brain science. There's obvious physiological, biological differences between men and women. And just one that I'm thinking of right now that I learned in school was at the 8.5-week mark of a pregnancy, a male is bathed in testosterone, and it has an impact on the corpus callosum. That's the thing that connects the left and right brain hemispheres. And so when boys are born, this typically either disconnected or it is not connected well, which means that emotionally, girls are different. Girls have the ability to connect more easily because they have that. And boys, they don't connect as emotionally the same.
Right. And I think a great analogy, and there's a book called this, Waffles and Spaghetti, because they're great analogies. Like men, your brains operate in these little compartments. And when your right brain is thinking, your left brain is a different compartment. Now you can learn to bridge them together and emotionally connect. It's not all just separate compartments. Yeah. Those things can be learned. But for women, one spaghetti noodle touches all the noodles at the same time.
And you can think about everything at the same time.
Yes, we can.
And everything connects somehow in your thoughts and in your mind. They all connect.
Yes.
Whereas for most men, we can go from one to the other and kind of close the door behind us in the thought process.
I've watched you so many times as I'm having conversation with you and I'm talking and then you get this look on your face and I'm like, what? And you're like, I have no idea how this fits together right now.
Yeah.
What do you mean this and this are connected? They're not. And I'm like, well, yeah, this is how they're connected. And it's totally different. So one of the things that men are able to do is separate emotion from action.
And it is not uncommon for the husbands that are unfaithful to separate the emotions from the physical act.
It's not across the board that happens, so we don't want you to hear us saying that that's always the case. And it can also be true for women. Like we can learn how to separate emotion from actions and suppress emotions. And so, but it is very common, we see that a lot, that the husbands who are unfaithful don't have connection, and that's really hard for the wife to understand.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the comment that we made at the beginning, that a lot of wives feel like he did not choose me. I am rejected. I'm not good enough. I'm unloved and I'm unwanted. And here's where the enemy uses our differences to create these blind spots and hide them from our view. He does that intentionally to keep us emotionally disconnected. Because if I'm feeling unloved and unwanted, then I'm not going to want to engage with you. And I also have this thought process of I would never do that or think that way. And so it can't be possible for you. Not possible. And that's just not true. Because men and women are very different.
We think differently. We are different in so many ways. We had a conversation the other day with a couple where the wife was having a hard time understanding how her husband was not emotionally connected to his affair partner.
Yeah, I remember the phrase of, it must be because he was in love with her since he didn't choose me. I am rejected, not good enough, unloved, and unwanted. This has to be true. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done what he did.
Yeah, that line of thinking is common. It is a common way of thinking about their spouse, and we think in completely different ways.
We do. And I can put myself into that, and I felt the same way. It was hard for me to understand how you could be unfaithful and not be emotionally connected.
Right.
Yeah, it just points us to we need to recognize the differences that are there as men and women so that we can think differently. Like when you're sharing, then I can think like you would think because I've gotten to know you and I've started to learn how you think.
Yeah. And the enemy uses the way we think. The enemy uses our differences against us.
Yes.
He will conceal, he will put veils over our eyes of what we can see and what we can't see for each other.
And then, like on the opposite side of that, most women who are unfaithful, they tend to connect emotionally.
That's right.
They are lacking emotional connection in their marriage and they start seeking it elsewhere. Now, that's
right.
not
Yes.
across the board. However, that's very common, and we see that, that they're searching for the emotional rather than the physical. And the physical comes with, a lot of times, the man, that's what he wants. So if I'm having an affair and I'm feeling very emotionally connected, well, then I need to be physical with him. But typically, it's not what the woman is seeking after. And so just regardless of gender, both emotional and physical affairs are deeply hurtful and very painful to walk through. They're also very damaging to both spouses. So we're going to describe some gender patterns that we see in coaching with couples, as well as tendencies and how the absence of our core needs manifest inside marriage. And it's all based on relational styles. However, I want you to get that the pain of neglect is universal, no matter what gender you are.
Yeah, let's talk about what men need and how neglect can manifest in that relationship. But before we get there, February 28th is the marriage conference coming up. We're going to have some details put into the description below of how you can get connected to that marriage conference or reach out to us to find out about future marriage conferences coming up.
Yes, we already have them planned and on the schedule. Okay, so for many men, sexual intimacy is the primary way they feel loved and desired and emotionally connected. Men actually need emotional connection.
Which is surprising to me. I didn't even consider that until I've been learning more.
Right. Well, I just think it's cool. They need emotional connection, and most do not know how to access that in marriage. And this can increase the desire for sexual intimacy in hopes to gain a deeper sense of emotional connection with their spouse. I know for me, like, when you have come to me and wanting to make love or desiring me, it's easy for me to just think all you want is sex. But really, what's the heart behind that is I want connection.
That's right.
With you.
And typically men, they feel the emotional connection after physical intimacy.
That's right. They feel the most connected.
Most connected, yes.
And I know you shared that. I just want to connect with you. I want to feel connected to you. And I'm like, we are connected. And you're like, for you,
and
not for me.
Most women feel emotionally connected prior to physical intimacy.
Which leads to physical intimacy. Right. And when a husband is not healthy and whole, it leads to feelings of rejection in marriage. And
I felt that a lot in our relationship.
Right. I know. We went down that path a lot. Because if you would have been healthy and a good communicator, we talked about this in our last episode, then you could have good conversation about this with me. We could have had solid resolutions where both of us are getting seen and heard and understood.
Like our conversation the other day, where we both were able to hear each other out. And afterwards, we felt a deeper sense of intimacy with each other because we heard each other. And we were talking in good communication from wholeness.
Yes. And stay tuned because we're going to tell that story in the next episode about that conversation. But when men are feeling sexually neglected, even though it may not actually be true in reality or inside the marriage, it tends to lead to specific unhealthy patterns and breakdowns. So let's just talk through what are some of those unhealthy patterns and breakdowns.
Yeah, there's a decreased feeling of self-worth, confidence, the way I view myself, the way I view my identity, it seems to devalue. That's not in reality. That's in my thoughts and how I view things. Things like I'm not attractive, you're rejecting me, you don't want to be with me. These are my words. These are things going on in my head. But
And
I've
it's
heard many
internalized.
other, yes. But I've also heard many other husbands tell me these same words that they have going on for them as well. I'm not good enough. Those things lead me to a low self-esteem, lead me to a feeling of inadequacy. Even I'm just such a failure.
Yeah.
I can't figure this out. And inevitably, it leads to a loss of emotional connection between us. There is resentment that I will build up because I feel rejected from you. And because of that feeling of rejection, I don't know what to do with that. And so I resent. I have this resentment towards you. I have this bitterness that starts coming into my heart. I start seeing you different than who you are to me.
Right. I think that just leads to distance and avoidance from the spouse.
It does.
From the wife.
This rejection, it will breed anger, irritability, a deep resentment toward you, toward marriage itself. It leads to stress, anxiety, depression. It could lead to those things.
Right. And I just feel like I need to say that in no way are we saying, like for the wives that are listening, that you need to give your husband more sex in order to keep him healthy. Because that is not at all what we're saying. And if you've been following along our channel at all, you know we talk about becoming whole and complete, and that it is both spouses' responsibility for how we show up in life. And when we are whole and complete, anything can be solved and have a resolution with good, effective communication inside the marriage.
Yeah, so let me talk about that real quick. So things like, I'm not good enough, you're rejecting me, I'm not attractive. If I were whole and complete, I could come to you with a good conversation about those feelings, not pushing those feelings onto you. You make me feel this way, but have a good conversation about I was feeling this way until I took it to God and He gave me His perspective. And I want to share with you what I discovered.
That's right. That's
Now
about
that is whole and complete.
being whole and complete.
And now we can do something with that information so that we can have even a deeper, richer intimacy with each other.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about what women need and how neglect manifests in women. So emotional intimacy is all about feeling safe to share, feeling understood, being validated, seen, and heard. Those are the cornerstones of marital connection. And as a wife, typically we enter marriage expecting that all of those things are going to happen. And we just talked about most men have no idea how to access that.
Yeah.
They know how to pursue their wife on like dating. But then once you got me, what is the point in pursuing? I mean, can't we just have sex all the time? But when emotional intimacy is missing.
Yes. When it is missing, man, the marriage is defined by this emotional unavailability and this disengagement of the marriage.
Yes. And we hear that so often from the wives. And again, there is a healthy way that we could have good conversation that I'm feeling like you're emotionally unavailable and disengaged. And it would all have to do with me addressing my lies first, taking them to the Lord, confronting that, confessing that, repenting of that, and then coming to you with good conversation. Because if I internalize the disconnection, I'm going to be feeling like I'm personally failing,
Yeah.
that our marriage is declining, my self-esteem is declining, I'm feeling inadequate, and I'm having self-doubt. And we hear this, and like when I'm coaching the wives, I hear, I'm probably just too needy, I shouldn't say anything, or I'm just not worth listening to. And if that is you, those are lies from the enemy, because you are worthy of those things. And it's all about how you go about it that makes the difference.
When those lies kick in, this results in like this loneliness and emotional emptiness inside the marriage.
It can lead to chronic psychological strain, often showing up as depression, sadness, low energy, anxiety, constant worry about the relationship stability.
Ultimately, what it leads to is I'm not accepted by you. Maybe I'll be accepted outside of you, and I will seek affirmation, validation, worth out here if I'm looking unhealthy.
Right. And that just leads to the risk of having an emotional affair and the overall dissatisfaction feeling in marriage.
Yeah.
But I think what's important, because we talked about men and women now, that both of us actually need connection.
We do. We need
That's the core
intimacy.
need.
We need to be known by each other, and we need to know each other. I think I mentioned this in several episodes. Genesis 2:25, God and Adam and Eve, they knew each other, and that is a deep level of knowing.
Not only do we need emotional connection, but both spouses also need physical connection, which is cool, because it's not an easy route to that because of our differences. And God knew that. He knew that it was going to take work, that marriage was going to sanctify us and make us more righteous and holy, because it's a lot of sacrificial love.
And there's great news for you husbands that are listening. You can learn how to emotionally be present for your spouse. It's something I had no clue how to do. No clue. And as I've gone through this process of learning God's will for my life, making Him a priority, learning from Him, learning from you, I'm learning how to be more emotionally connected and how to create emotional intimacy in our relationship. And it is something that you can do as well.
So I'd love to just share a little story with you about, since we started season 5, the enemy has definitely been attacking us in this area of sex and marriage.
Every episode that we do, whatever we're targeting, it seems like the enemy is right there to attack that.
Isn't he?
And I'm glad that you're bringing this up. I think you're bringing up the conversation that we recently had. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just give a brief overview of before the conversation. And then what I would like to do is have a healthy conversation for them to really hear what that sounds like, because it's available. So we were going out of town, and I knew that the chances of me feeling desire while we were on this trip were pretty low. I knew the circumstances were going to impact me. And so I was intentional with having a conversation with you of, hey, we're going to be gone this long. Can we wait until we get home and not worry about that while we're there? And those probably weren't my exact words, but, and we were on the same page. You said, yeah, that's great with me. I'm fine with that. So then we are out of town, and you're still like coming on to me and desiring me and making these bids towards me. And at first I was like, oh, he just desires me. That's sweet. And then it didn't stop. And I was like, he is totally ignoring what I said. Like totally not listening, not trying to meet me like where I thought we were supposed to be. And it was very confusing for me, and days went on of this happening until you finally approached me and you were like, hey, what's going on? Because I'm desiring you.
Yeah.
And luckily, we were able to get away for a little bit and just have a really clear conversation about that. And so I would like to just kind of go back over what that conversation sounded like.
Okay.
Would you like to start, or do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you said, hey, what's going on? I was able to share, oh, I'm glad you asked, because there's definitely feelings going on that were there that weren't full blown yet. Like it's not like I had gotten a thorn pricked.
Yeah.
But they were festering, and it was about to prick a thorn. Yeah. And so I was able to look and see, okay, I feel like I am feeling unaware because you're bringing desire to me that I thought we had decided we would wait till we got home. And I was also feeling disrespected because I was intentional about having a conversation with you ahead of time. I thought we would be on the same page. So I thought you were just disregarding everything I said to you, or had completely forgotten we even had that conversation. So that's what was going on for me.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, and I have this desire for you, which is healthy and honoring and good. And I'm like, I feel rejected by you through your turning me down. But then I was also like, I also know that is not your heart. And I know that you are not rejecting me. And that I totally get where you're coming from, that we've had this conversation before the trip. And here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I can see how you would feel rejected because I have said no multiple times. And I think I was feeling misunderstood when I'm saying no, because my no is coming from a place of, we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I can definitely see where you would have felt misunderstood. It took me a while to get to you feeling or seeing where you felt misunderstood. But I could definitely see that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate you having that conversation with me then. Mm-hmm. Because had we not had that conversation, we would have had our thorns pricked, and there would have been a major issue to try to work through around other people.
Yeah. Well, when I felt rejected by you, what I wanted to do was just leave. I did not want to be in the conversation because you reject me.
Well, and I remember you saying something to the effect of, "What it makes me want to just say, fine, I just won't show you my desire."
Yeah.
Which is not what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Right.
I want to feel your desire. I like your desire. It was the expectation that was coming with the desire that made me feel unaware. Like, what are you doing? What's this about?
Yeah. And when I felt that, I knew that my feelings were there. And I have to identify, and you have to identify, feelings does not mean it's true. Mm-hmm. And so I had to push past that so that I could have a conversation with you and sit and talk about what we both felt. And so we could both understand each other's point of view.
And we were able to identify, this is the enemy.
Yes.
Because there's nothing wrong here.
Yes, right.
Nothing. You haven't done anything wrong. I haven't done anything wrong. It was the timing, the approach, the fact that we had had a conversation. Had we not had that conversation ahead of time, I'm not sure how it would have played out. But I think it would have been worse because we wouldn't have been able to see each other's heart in the end. I just think that I would have seen you as just disregarding me altogether.
Yeah, I could see that. Which is definitely not my heart.
Right. And so we share that conversation because we want you to see that the enemy is always scheming. He's always got a trick up his sleeve to try to get us to view our spouse differently than what their heart is. And in that conversation, we were able to get to each other's heart, really feel, both of us felt seen and heard. And we got complete in that conversation that my feelings melted away. Did yours?
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't strong anymore. But what we have to do, and what you have to do, is stop letting the enemy steal, kill, and destroy your marriage. We have to stop letting him do that. Ask the Lord for wisdom. James 1 verses 5 and 6 says he will give it to you generously if you just ask. And we need to deal with our own heart first. I'm reminded of Matthew 7 verses 3 through 5 where I'm just paraphrasing here. This is Jesus doing the Sermon on the Mount, and he talks about the logs. You know, why would I look at you and tell you need to fix something, there's something wrong here, or you need to address something, when I need to look at my heart first. And I need to address whatever's going on in my heart. And when that's addressed, I am whole and complete. And then I can come to you with whatever I have going on for me, because now I'm not blaming and accusing.
Right. And had that been a part of that conversation, we would not have gotten through it with feeling complete at the end.
Right.
Because the blaming is what's hurtful.
It is.
And it will make your spouse feel misunderstood, because I guarantee you it's not their heart. It's how the enemy is using different circumstances to have you see them differently and wrongly.
Amen. Great episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Oh, go ahead.
We talked a lot about the differences between men and women. We're not done with this topic. We're going to keep going because there's so many differences between us that need to be talked about and need to share so that other people can see something new, so you can see something new for your own marriage.
Praise God, there's differences, because it gives you something your whole lifetime to learn,
right,
as you become a student of your spouse.
That's right.
We have a marriage conference coming up February 28th. Make sure and sign up for it. And if you're watching this past that date, check us out on our website, see what other marriage conferences we have available.
We're going to be talking in the next episode all about the difference between sexual activity and sexual intimacy.
There's a difference.
They are very different. And so you're going to want to tune in for that. But just thank you for joining us on this episode. We've had a lot of you ask, how can we support your ministry? And so we want to give you several ways to do that. Our podcast is now on Apple and Spotify, and it's doing really great. We're really excited to see how people are consuming these podcasts. And we need reviews on there to get it out to more people. So if you're listening right now, go ahead and pop over, give us a review. Let us know what you think about this podcast and how it's helping you heal in your marriage. As well as if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like, more than half of you who watch our episodes are not subscribed. And you're missing out on future episodes for your healing, because YouTube notifies you when a new episode comes out. So
we just learned some exciting news in Spotify. We are one of the top podcasts produced that is new.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yes.
A new podcast. And we're listed in one of the top of that.
It's in like the 80th percentile.
83 percentile, yeah.
And our top 5 countries, let me see if I can remember really quick, is South Africa, Philippines,
Yep.
Canada, New Zealand.
Yes.
And number 1 is the United States. It's pretty cool.
That is awesome. And that is all from you. Thank you so much for supporting us. Another way you can support us is prayer. Prayer for our marriage. Prayer against the enemy, because he is coming for us.
All the time.
Anytime there's friction in the supernatural, he's coming. He is there, and he is wanting to take us out.
Let me just say, we feel the prayers around our ministry, and when there are people praying for our ministry, and we have some dedicated people, and we're so grateful for you, we feel a hedge of protection. We do. It's when the prayers drop, the enemy gets through, and that's when we feel the impact that keeps us from being able to share more of our message. So thank you so much for your prayers. We greatly appreciate them.
To continue your healing today, we have curated a special video just for you, and you can click on it right here.
Right here.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Well, bam! Good job.
Way better than the last episode, I think. I think we hit that one.
We finished it in like 30 minutes versus 3 hours.
3 hours?
You did great.